Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I shall try to do you no harm. All right? Like all of us, we thank all of you for being with us today and the thought that you've put into it. And I think all of us recognize that getting this issue right has all the right impacts on our world and our economy, and getting it wrong could have all of the wrong impacts in a very severe way. I am very slow to move in shaping public policy until I am convinced that the modeling we use, the science we use, and all of those things are as accurate as we can get it. And I've looked at this issue for many years. I've traveled the world to most of our climate change conferences. I recognize concerns and urgencies, and I also recognize in some instances the near impossibility of getting where some of us think we ought to go. But Mr. Darby, let me start with you. In 2006, 24% of PG&E's total electrical output or generation was nuclear power. In your view, can this type of cap and trade legislation be implemented without a significant commitment to new nuclear?
We've taken a look at the growth with respect to energy needs through the period 2030 through the EPRI organization, which represents the electric utility industry. And what is clear from that is that America's energy needs are going to grow very substantially on all fronts.
Yeah.
So what EPRI looked at was how much energy efficiency we'll need, which is substantial, how much in the way of renewables, that amount is substantial, clean carbon technologies, IGCC with sequestration, very substantial. And there remains a significant gap beyond that, and we believe at this time, because of the size of that gap, that nuclear needs to be on the table as an option. But I do want to say that we also see great opportunity in the solar thermal technology, and therefore there is the possibility in many parts of the United States that if that technology grows sufficiently strongly, as we anticipate it might, that could substitute for a substantial amount of nuclear power. So we think that the United States needs to keep its options open until that technology proves itself. But even with that, because of different climate differences in the United States, some amount of nuclear power may be required.
Mm-hmm. In all of those instances, to bring a new unit of any type of production online, what is the average cost per kilowatt hour?
Of
well, let's say photovoltaic or solar in the instance that you're looking at and building.
Let me give you, if I may, the whole spectrum. Yeah. In terms of, and we translate it through to the cost to the customer.
Sure.
So with respect to let's say coal today from existing facilities, probably 3-4 cents. Nuclear today from existing facilities, 4 cents. Hydroelectric today existing, 3 cents. If you look at the cost of solar thermal that was mentioned today, 10 to 12 cents seems to be the range, with the opportunity going towards 8. If you look at photovoltaic, it's pretty expensive. It's about 30 to 40 cents a kilowatt hour before you look at installation costs. So I think that probably gives you the spectrum.
It does. It is an irony, or I should say a uniqueness of market and place at this moment in time. My state of Idaho is growing very rapidly. We are also fortunate that we have a largely hydro-based electrical economy, and so we have the lowest cost power in the country. About 40% of our in-migration is coming out of California, and they are retirees who are seeking our state for a variety of reasons, and clearly in all of their dialogues is the cost of living and energy. My frustration, because the chairman was talking about the dynamics of a California economy, it may be a dynamic place if you are alive, middle-aged, and working hard. If you're retired or poor, a problem begins to happen. And we see a substantial migration out of California today into Idaho, and other places where there are different attributes, but one of them being cost of living and energy is a very real factor there. Now, that leads me to you, Mr. Pershing, as it relates to how we allocate, because we're a clean state. We don't have a carbon footprint of any kind. We don't have that kind of legacy. And so it is not clear to me that a cap-and-trade system can be implemented without causing severe regional economic impacts. And Idaho doesn't want to lose its advantages. Clearly, new energy in Idaho is going to be more expensive. We all know that. All new energy is more expensive than old energy. It's also cleaner. We also understand all of those arguments. Idaho, as I've said, is one of those states that is the cleanest and least cost. So I guess my thoughts to you are, one, WRI's allocation preference, free or not free?
WRI would propose that there be some mix. We believe that in the initial phase, it doesn't seem politically possible to manage it with an entire auction, so we'd start off with some share of being freely allocated. We do believe the auction should be phased out over time. The more quickly it can be done, the more quickly you get to an economic efficiency. But I would note that there is a space in this whole area for something to be done with the revenues and with the allowances. And this could provide, partly through, for example, mechanisms that are allocating allowances to the states, for some way to offset some of the costs that you've identified. There also is quite a lot of information in the economics literature, in various studies being done for the states individually that suggests that some of these outcomes may not be as negative as you suggest. For example, while the electricity price that you pay may go up, the total electricity that you consume may go down. And the balance between those may actually lead to a stable or even a marginal reduction in the price. The state of Illinois did this kind of analysis and showed that.
Thanks.